Two teams emerge here at Kenilworth Road. Now, last season, Luton were knocked out of the FA Cup by League Two Grimsby. Tonight, they face the holders, Manchester City. They're the English, European and world champions who come here unbeaten in 12 weeks. It's live on Talksport with FA Cup winner Scott Minto, who's alongside your commentator on Talksport, Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Adrian, and good evening to you. For a generation of Luton fans, any talk of Manchester City will always evoke memories of one thing: David Pleat, half running, half dancing across the main road pitch in an ecstatic survival jig after Radiantish's last late goal that gave them a last day victory, keeping the Hatters in the top flight at City's expense. Clearly, so much has changed in 40 odd years since, both enduring football misery of significant but varying proportions, and coming out the other side much stronger for it. Physically, not much has changed here at the Kenny, three sides of it anyway, and it's an epic triumph that they're back to fight another battle in the elite, which is, of course, front and centre. But can they add to the memories of an absorbing season with a first cup quarter-final for 30 years? These are almost uncharted waters in recent times. They lost to Chelsea at this stage a couple of years ago in a game that they twice led, but that's the only other fifth-round tie that they played since 1994. For City, it's a ninth successive season in the last 16. They're on the longest run of successive away wins in FA Cup history. They've arrived in Bedfordshire as overwhelming favourites, but they have got first-hand experience of just how difficult this fixture can be. Remember, they were losing here an hour into their league match back in December. Well, this is how the two sides line up. Tim Krul back in goal for Luton. Rhys Burt returning on the right of the three centre-halves. He's been missing out with a thigh problem in recent weeks. Mengi and Bell, the other two centre-halves, are Benny, Clark, Barkley, Chong and Doughty, and Morris and Woodrow up front. For Manchester City, Ortega in goal, Walker, Akanji, Stones pushing forward from centre-half, we expect, and Ake, Kovacic in midfield, Silva, De Bruyne, Nunes and Grealish, and Haaland up front. On the benches for Luton, Osho Berry, Rodican Panza, Ashioka, Townsend, Johnson, Nelson, Paisold and Shea. For City, it's Diaz, Doku, Rodri, Alvarez, Gomez, Foden, Bob, Lewis and Edison. Dan, I'm delighted to say that alongside me is Scott Minto. What's the tactical approach from Rob Edwards tonight?
Well, it's interesting. He has picked as strong a side pretty much as he could. Obviously a lot of injuries. In goal, Krul comes in for Kaminsky, but apart from that, maybe Burke for Osho, but yeah, he's going to try and go for it. He's going to try and treat it how they have done here at the Kenny. You know, Aid was talking about all the teams, the top teams that have come here and struggled. Liverpool, they got a draw. The other big boys, okay, they only lost by a goal, but they put in some really good performances. Need to use the crowd in the first 10-15 minutes. Yes, we know City will definitely try and have the possession on the ball, but Carlton Morris, I think, just needs to drop into midfield at times to help with that extra man when City do have the ball, because there's no doubt about it, they will have the lion's share of possession.
Well, Anthony Taylor, who's refereed two FA Cup finals, the only person to do that since the very early days of the 20th century, is the man that takes charge of this one. There is VAR, it's Rob Jones, and we play to a finish. 90 minutes, then extra time and penalties if necessary. It's FA Cup action under the lights. A place in the quarter-final surprise. The Hatters against the Holders. And he's live on Talksport. With Manchester City, white shirts with gold numbering. And they're kicking from right to left. Luton in their customary orange. And they're attacking the Oak Road end of the ground that houses the travelling Manchester City supporters. Kovacic playing the ball out towards John Stones. Stones controlling it and then going back inside his penalty area for Ortega, who will drive it forward just over halfway. And Haaland will do his best to try and pick up possession on the right-hand side. He's managed that into the feet of Walker. Back now for Bernardo Silva. Kovacic in the yellow boots. Working it back inside his own half for Nathan Ake, and he will calmly lay it back to his goalkeeper Ortega on the edge of his own penalty area. Quick 1-2 with Stones. Ortega then playing it through the penalty area to Akanji on the left-hand side of the box, and down for Ake. Ake rolling it down the touchline. Jack Grealish back for Kovacic. And what we've seen in the opening minute is constant, exclusive Manchester City possession. Now they'll try and release Haaland, but well knocked up at the back by Mengi, who will get it back to his goalkeeper, Krul. Krul playing it forward and putting Bell under all kinds of pressure on the edge of his own penalty area, but he knew that the press was coming, and he turned out very beautifully. They've lost possession almost as quickly, though. Here's De Bruyne, flighted in over Haaland, who was having his shirt pulled there by Burke. Benny will pick it up and drive it off Ake. And he goes into the fans, and the Kenilworth stand away to our left-hand side, and the Hatters will just be able to puff out their cheeks and take a deep breath, because that was 90 seconds of constant Manchester City possession.
Jim, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say, and Luton can breathe. My goodness me, what a start it's been from City, without actually creating a clear-cut opportunity, where they're showing exactly why, and many say, and I'm one of them, they are the best side in the world. And again, we talked about the attitude of City and coming to a place like this. Are they going to be at it? Well, they've been here before, haven't they? So they know what's coming. So I think they will certainly be up for it. They want to try and put this game to bed, this tie to bed, as quickly as possible, but they also know it's not going to be as easy as that. You also asked me, what can Luton do? Get the ball wide, get crosses in.
Chong making a run towards the edge of the penalty area, and the intention of Barkley was to flick it on to him, but City were able to mop up. Kovacic again shows for the short one on the edge of his own box, and Ortega obliges. Now it's rolled forward into the feet of the blonde-haired De Bruyne. And De Bruyne put under pressure by Clark, but able to guide it back to his goalkeeper, no problem at all. And it's Akanji's turn to maraud forward from the back and bring it towards halfway, and he's done well. Good ball retention, and then slips a beautiful ball down the line for Matheus Nunes right in front of us, 5 yards outside the area. Reverses it into De Bruyne. Haaland peels away and scores. And it has taken 3 minutes. Manchester City have been right on it from the very first whistle. Akanji scything through the Luton midfield. De Bruyne inside the penalty area. Haaland's movement and finish did the rest. It's Luton 0, Manchester City 1, on a night where the holders mean business.
My goodness me, what a start from the champions, the current holders. And the attitude absolutely spot on, you have to say. Really good pass from Akanji, good run for Nunes down the left-hand side. I mean, Luton actually do have 3 players, and yet somehow still De Bruyne is able to get to the byline, cut the ball back. It's a little bit behind Haaland, but we know what he's like, especially on his left foot. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He's able to get there first, and he gives Tim Krul no chance whatsoever. What a start it has been from City.
That was fantastic movement from Haaland, just peeled away, drew the defender towards him, and then quickly nipped in front of him at the near post. Slides it in with his left foot, scoops it past the despairing dive of Tim Krul. And Manchester City a goal up in next to no time. Luton getting the ball forward quickly. The Bene, so pacey, has done well to stop it going out of play for a goal kick. It's put it out for a throw. Haaland's goal, his 23rd of the season in 30 games. He's got a good record in this competition. It's 4 in 5 career FA Cup ties for Erling Haaland. Luton 0, Manchester City 1. Significant goals elsewhere. It's now Notts County 1, Sutton 2. Good response from Sutton to Macaulay Langstaff equalising for County, with Harry Smith putting Sutton back ahead. Manchester City bringing it forward. Walker, I beg your pardon, can't hide his dismay at the poor pass that was sent out towards Nunes on the right-hand side. Elsewhere in the National League, Woking 1, Gateshead 1 in the early stages of that game at Kingfield. Ball played forward by Krul. Ake heading it down. Grealish doing well to climb. Space for Kovacic in the midfield. Little deflection off Barkley. Breaks for Bernardo Silva. And he scooped the ball out towards the far touchline for Nunes, but it's won back by Doughty, and Luton will be able to bring it out from the back.
Amazing, isn't it? 5 minutes gone, 85% possession, 1 shot on target, 1-0 up.
Is that all?
Clinical, yes.
Oh, it genuinely feels like more. Woodrow with a layoff out towards Doughty. Great ball in from Doughty, and Morris making a near post run. Couldn't quite get anything on it. And you talked about the way that Luton might be able to hurt Manchester City, being to get the ball out wide, get it in early. They did exactly that. Doughty's delivery from the left flank has been sensational for much of the season, and was so there.
Jim, that's a wonderful chance, and you're not going to get many chances against this Manchester City side, or when you do, you have to hit the target. My goodness me, it's a wonderful ball in, and Morris gets in front of Akanji, He does the hard work in that sense. He has to just get contact on the ball.
Jordan Clark's bringing the ball down and has done really well. Back out towards Doughty again, faced up by Kyle Walker, who's playing the 600th game of his club career today. In towards Chong. Walker's won it back, looked to try and play back to his goalkeeper, got it all wrong, the cross comes in, and then Morris inside the 6-yard box is thwarted by Ake. Desperate defending from City, and it could have easily been 1-1.
Now, brilliant from Doughty again, though. He's never going to beat Kyle Walker for pace, but he wins the ball off him in the box, cuts the ball back. Again, another really good opportunity for Luton.
In League One, Port Vale leading Fleetwood 1-0. That's Kevin De Bruyne. Can't get the touch that he wanted on the edge of the area. It's a really good Luton response, as Scott Minto's been saying. Former FA Cup winner with us here on Talksport tonight. Layoff from Clark out towards the right-hand side of the Luton penalty area. And Benning chipping it in. Morris shaping to head it towards goal. Just knocked away from him in the nick of time. 7 gone, 1-0 to Manchester City. Bernardo Silva just beaten to it by Mengi. And the former Manchester United man there, just in time on halfway, because if Silva had got a touch there to poke it forward towards Haaland, it could easily have been 2. It's Luton 0, Manchester City 1. Fantastic FA Cup tie in prospect here on Talksport tonight, and live across the whole of North America as well. A very good afternoon to you if you're listening on Sirius XM FC in the United States and Canada. Mengi back to his goalkeeper Tim Krul. Now Krul taking a couple of touches inside the D, and now will drive it left-footed forward towards the edge of the penalty area. John Stones chasing after it. Will just get there first, knock it away from Woodrow, who's getting an extended run in the team because of the injury to Adebayo. Back for Ortega. Ortega getting it forward. Brought down in the midfield by Nunes. Nunes with a great turn. Has got the better of Amari Bell. And now he can drive forward into Luton territory. Grealish is unmarked to the far post, but the cross didn't get there. Burke headed it away. And Abene will be able to bring it forward for Luton.
That was on, though, wasn't it? It was a great run from Nunes. I have to say, who himself hasn't really impressed too much in his Man City career. So when he gets the opportunity, he needs to play well. But he's making those runs that I used to see him play in the Portuguese league for Sporting. And the reason why he certainly has come to one of the best teams in the world. Unlucky in the end, because Grealish would have been in through on goal if that pass had come to him.
So Manchester City leading by a goal to nil. Erling Haaland's goal officially timed at 3 minutes. Let's find out what's been going on down to the Vitality. Here's Alex Crook.
Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. Really entertaining game. Bournemouth have come closest to taking the lead. Enisu now has had one shot cleared off the line. He's also stabbed wide from point-blank range. They're getting closer, the Cherries. It's Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0.
Here's Abene for Luton on the right-hand side of the penalty area. An exchange of passes with Reece Burke. Burke, who scored inside a couple of minutes when Luton were last in FA Cup 5th round action. That was against Chelsea here a couple of years ago. Another thrilling game that Chelsea ended up winning by 3 goals to 2. It was the day that it was announced that Abramovich was going to sell the club. That news came through just about an hour and a half before kick-off that night. Here's Burke. And Luton getting a foothold in the game now after that tempestuous start for City, which resulted in them taking the lead.
Well, one thing they've got is character. You know, you're not going to beat them up in that sense. They might not be quite good enough in some games, but they've come back well since they conceded that early goal.
And Corley Woodrow flagged offside here. And it's a free kick that will be taken by Manchester City. Goalless still. Live over on Talksport 2 for you right now. The battle between Blackburn and Newcastle, both of whom have won the FA Cup on 6 previous occasions. Blackburn haven't won it since 1928, Newcastle since 1955. One of them will be in tomorrow's FA Cup quarter-final draw, which you'll be able to hear live on Talksport ahead of our exclusive coverage of Nottingham Forest against Manchester United tomorrow. And our game at Ewood Park is live for you over on Talksport 2 right now, and the delayed 8 o'clock kickoff. Here's Kevin De Bruyne. This one kicked off at 8 as well. We're 10 minutes in, City leading 1-0. De Bruyne inside the penalty area. They're just waiting for the run from Nunes. The ball is cleared down towards Bernardo Silva on the Manchester City left. Back from him to Kovacic. Kovacic turning. Bernardo Silva likewise able to turn. Play forward towards Haaland. Haaland inside the penalty area. Mengi battling with him, and he did well to stick to his task. Because just for a moment it looked as though he was going to get turned there, but he was able to poke it away with his right foot and get it clear. And Woodrow similarly has done well on halfway. picking the ball up and now finding Barkley. Ball out towards Doughty is on the Luton left. Chong has seen him, but so too now has Kyle Walker. So goes the other way towards Jordan Clark. Clark firing it inside the penalty area, but too much loft on that for Woodrow. And he goes out of play for a goal kick to Manchester City, who lead by a goal to nil here on Talksport.
Well, I'll tell you what, first of all, what a game we've got. I mean, two teams really going for it. City got the early goal. Luton have created a couple of chances. And I was actually thinking that Mengi, don't get too tight because he'll just turn you, Haaland. He's so big and strong, but to be fair to Mengi, so is he. Defended really well, and then what happens? Luton go down the other end, and Clark just overplayed that pass. Thought he should have played in Doughty, who then could have put in a better cross.
Ortega from the goal kick drives it into space on the left wing. Grealish first to react. It's a little bit breezy. It's a ground that's quite open to the elements here at Kenilworth Road, and the wind making life a little bit difficult. Bit of a swirling breeze. It's coming down towards this near touchline. It's blowing into our faces, and we're on the Manchester City left-hand side. Kovacic has got the ball. That has been set off in the FA Cup final in the past. Grealish has got it now. Grealish just leaving it for Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne to Haaland. Haaland to Grealish. There's a real zip about City. And Mengi with a last-ditch interception just stopped the ball going through towards Haaland. And Doughty will be able to clear.
Brilliant last-ditch tackle that for Mengi, wasn't it? Fantastic one-touch play from City. Haaland laid it off and then ran, and Grealish saw him make the run. Mengi just about got that touch. If he hadn't have done, there'd have been a one-on-one, and we normally know what happens there.
In League Two, Swindon leading Tranmere by a goal to nil through Sean McGurk. In the National League, Oldham goal up at Eastleigh. What a good start of life under new boss Kelvin Davis. 13 minutes in, Luton 0, Manchester City 1. And the other two FA Cup ties tonight are both goalless. Remember, Blackburn, Newcastle, live here right now over on Talksport 2. Ortega, forward towards Bernardo Silva. It's midway inside his own half as he picks up possession on the left-hand touchline. Back now for Kovacic. Kovacic inside the 6-yard box for Ortega. It's another ball hit purposefully along the deck towards Grealish. And Grealish running infield. Reece Burke followed him every step of the way. And the pressure was telling and a little bit overzealous. It's a free kick to City. Talk to me, Scott, about John Stones, because we're giving him the big build-up before the game. Hasn't really had too much involvement so far. Started at centre-half, but has gravitated back into that central midfield role now.
Yeah, but you know what? He doesn't need to do too much, because Man City, in terms of them as a team, are just dominating going forward. So sometimes you don't have to do it. Know your place at that particular moment. He's just there if he's needed. But we know what a class player he is. He's already looked really composed when he's been playing at centre-back. Now stepping into midfield. At some point we'll probably see him in the number 10 like we did against Bournemouth.
Almost certainly. Won't be too long. Carlisle in League One, 14 points adrift of safety, but they lead away from home tonight at Burton. A goal from Paul Huntington. Swindon 1, Tranmere 1, Rob Apter equalising for Tranny pretty much straight away. Tim Krul clearing left-footed. High ball over halfway, and Morris gets himself involved in a wrestling match with the Kanji. Anthony Taylor says that he was back again. And City are able to play on, having got possession back. Nunes playing it down for Grealish, who's got a run at Reece Burke here inside the area. Left-footed ball clipped in, well played by the diving Tim Krul to bring the ball down on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, and well done from Reece Burke there, because Jack Grealish is running at him inside the box. You know he wants to come onto his right foot, and then the goal will open up. So he's almost accentuated letting him go down the outside. He's crossed it. In the end, it was a simple save for Krul.
A big game in the National League tonight. Chesterfield can go 23 points clear at the top of the table, which inbound in February, and they're leading at Barnet, second place Barnet by a goal to nil. Michael Jacobs on target in the big game in the National League tonight.
I want Bromley to go up. It's my local club.
Well, they've had a fantastic run over the last few years under Andy Woodman. Always a horrible place to go because of the plastic pitch. We have seen my lot lose there on several occasions over the last few years.
The first major pitch I played, no, second actually, when I was 12. That's my local club, so yeah, hopefully they'll do well.
They're still third, I think, in the National League. They're making a really good fist of it. A playoff place will be theirs. It's Kovacic here at Kenilworth Road. Manchester City lead by a goal to nil. Ortega playing it forward. Haaland and Mengi involved in the latest instalment of their own wrestling match. And this time the referee has given the free kick. So the Luton fans will be wondering why that one's been given and the previous one at the other end, Morris and Akanji, wasn't. What's the difference between them?
I think they're doing the waltz together, aren't they? I mean, they're certainly holding on to each other, both of them. And again, I think like the other one, I thought the decision was right earlier where they just let it go. I thought they should have let it go here. Both players really having a scrap, and we want to see that kind of physicality as well, which, you know, lends itself not just to an English game, but this stadium and this pitch as well. So I think it's brilliant already, the Haaland versus Mengi. I'm loving watching just those two.
A goal in League 2, Harrogate 0, Newport County 1. Will Evans from the penalty spot, his 24th goal of the season. And it is now half-time of the Vitality, Alex.
Really good first half this. It's Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. Enisu now on his full Cherries debut had a shot cleared off the line. Luis Sinisterra also had a header well saved, but Mark Albrighton almost put Leicester in front. He hit the post from the edge of the box. Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0.
And Manchester City are 2 up here at Kenilworth Road as the ball was played through towards Haaland. This time he got the run on Mengi and drew Tim Krul, slots it underneath him. Haaland at the double inside 17 minutes, and it's Luton 0, Manchester City 2.
Yeah, at times they're just going 1v1, Haaland versus Mengi, and the ball from Ortega's played up to him. He lays it off, then goes again, and there's no help from his centre-backs around him. Talking about enjoying the battle, but there's only so much he can do, and he's world-class for a reason. He runs and gets into the box. Mengi tries to come back. Krul gets a touch on it, but in the end, not enough. And again, that's all about Haaland. You know, Ortega's had the ball at his feet. He's laid it up to him. He's then laid it off and then gone in behind. The physicality of him and then the composure of the finishing, absolutely sensational.
Well, that is what Erling Haaland is all about. And now he's got it again, trying to thread it through towards De Bruyne. Just a little bit too much on that. And Tim Krul can come out of the edge of the penalty area, slide in and make the save. 2-0 to Manchester City.
The thing is, Luton are playing with 3 at the back, and sometimes they're going man for man and just leaving Mengi and Haaland down the middle as a 1v1, and that's just too risky. He's just too good. You can't do that. Yes, Mengi's quick, he's skillful, not skillful, he's strong, he's a good defender, but you're coming up against arguably the best striker in world football. He needs help, and the other 2 centre-backs need to just tuck in a bit more.
De Bruyne, Grealish, Nunes, Silva. City stringing the passes together in the midfield as quickly as you can say the names. Silva then goes down and his arms are stretched out, imploring the referee to give a free kick. But Amari Bella's won it back, and Alfie Doughty's got it now for Luton. Forward into the feet of Chong and back past Doughty, and out of play for a throw that'll be taken on the Manchester City right. They lead by 2-0. Erling Haaland on 3 and 18 minutes, and already Manchester City will feel as though they've got a foot in the FA Cup quarter-finals yet again. Ball played down towards Haaland, and he's won the first corner of the night.
Well, this is exactly what Pep Guardiola wanted when he picked the side. You know, he wanted to go strong. He wanted to see if he could win the game by half-time. Of course, it's not won yet. If Luton get the next goal, they're very much back in it. But it's been a wonderful start from City. And Ortega, the goalkeeper, had the ball on his feet. 10 seconds later, the ball's in the back of the net. They can do almost any type of goal they want to.
In League 2, Notts County have equalised again, 2-2 at home to Sutton, and Newport are 2 up at Harrogate. So this is the first corner of the night. Now Kevin De Bruyne is going to take it. Stones peels away from the edge of the 6-yard box. It's out towards Grealish. Woodrow saw it coming and was able to head it away. There was a ball that was played way out towards the edge of the penalty area for Jack Grealish to try and hit on the volley, but it didn't quite get to him. Ball goes back inside the Luton penalty area where Clark can clear. Morris has done well with a good jump and nods the ball down towards Barkley. And Burke now will fire it out towards the Luton left-hand side for Alfie Doughty. 20 minutes in. And Manchester City leading by 2-0. Haaland already on a hat-trick. You're listening to Luton against Manchester City in the FA Cup. And it's on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please. Drink responsibly. Now remember, there's more live FA Cup action tomorrow. Another choice of listening for you. Chelsea take on Leeds live on TalkSport 2 from 7:30. And here on TalkSport you can hear exclusive national radio commentary of Nottingham Forest against Manchester United. The build-up starting at 7 ahead of a 7:45 kickoff. Nunes with a little flick, but Morris is able to pick it up for Luton on halfway. And now the ball played out towards Alfie Doughty again. And Luton already under no misapprehension about the magnitude of their task tonight.
Absolutely, and it is brilliant how City play. You talked about Stones moves into midfield. Silva comes inside as well. De Bruyne then, or Nunes on one side and De Bruyne on the other, makes the third man run. You know, it's almost like, in a way, they're trying to go man for man, but you can't because the movement's so good. And they're taking him into places they're not used to. Bell actually did really well defending-wise there, but he cannot afford to leave Mengi with Haaland just one-on-one. Reece Burke needs to tuck round a little bit more and just forget about Jack Grealish if he needs to. If the ball switches 50 yards, then so be it. Then you can all shuffle across. But that ball into Haaland, if he turns Mengi, he's through on goal.
We're at the midway stage of the first half. And it's Luton 0, Manchester City 2. Jordan Clark in the midfield back for Amari Bell. Clark's got Mengi behind him. Every other Luton outfield player was in Manchester City territory for a moment there. Mengi can roll his studs over the top of the ball. Now play it forward towards Morris. Morris's little layup was cut out. Bernardo Silva for City, and they're breaking forward quickly again. The white shirts coming forward with aplomb. Grealish onto his right foot, gets the shot in, and Krul is able to gather at the second attempt.
Well, I just said a few minutes ago where Reece Burke did really well showing him down the outside. He allowed him to come inside. And he's inside the box. He's 16 yards out. The goal's completely opened up. And Jack Grealish, we talked about him, probably got a point to prove. And Pep Guardiola's saying we want him to step it up a bit more. That's a wonderful opportunity for him to score.
Well, City have got to at least the semi-finals in 6 of the last 7 seasons. They lost to Wigan at this stage of the competition in 2018, one of the biggest FA Cup shocks in recent years.
Will Grigg was on fire there, wasn't he?
Will Grigg was on fire. Those are the days, well, he still is, but just the fire's at a little bit of a lower level now. He's still in the 20s this year, Will Grigg, for Chesterfield's been a big part of their rise towards the Football League again. Well, yeah, Will Grigg getting that goal, but that was a rare poor night for Manchester City in the FA Cup. Hoping to win tonight, a 13th consecutive away game in this competition. No side's ever got close to that in history. And they haven't conceded from open play. They get to half-time without letting one in their last 18 halves of FA Cup football. Just one penalty conceded in that time, which you'll remember was in last season's final. Just an amazing record they've got in this competition in the recent past. Burke getting it forward. City hoping to win it for a 7th time and winning it in consecutive seasons, the holders. They've given a free kick away here in the midfield as Morris has been brought down and Jordan Clark will take it.
Comes from the manager, Jim. You know, the manager takes every cup competition as well as the league with the utmost of importance. You know, we know in the Carabao Cup they were winning that for a good few years, but the FA Cup as well. And Pep Guardiola wants to pick strong sides. He's got great squads, of course he has, but this is a perfect example of that.
Well, they want to retain the English League title, which has not been done for 4 successive seasons in footballing history. But they want to win the double again, the double-double, having done that and, of course, more last season.
The double-treble.
The double treble very much on. And here is Stones coming forward, and he's got Haaland ahead of him. This could be his hat-trick. Good save, Tim Krul. Got out there, made sure that the shot hit him, but that was Stones coming forward, making the uncharted run through the midfield, slipping it in towards Haaland through one-on-one. But Krul's denied him his hat-trick for now.
Yeah, he'll be annoyed with himself for that. I wouldn't say it was the best chance of the lot, but certainly it was as good as the other two. And he could be sitting here with a hat-trick now.
Now Barkley's given it away in the midfield of Bernardo Silva. This time it's Nunes coming forward, and he's beaten 2 and 3, and then hits it wide of the near post, and he's quick to raise a hand of apology. He almost took someone's head off in the Kenilworth stand away to our left-hand side.
He absolutely larruped that one, but the pace he showed to go in between the 2 defenders. Wow, it was like Brazilian Ronaldo in his heyday. I just want to see more of him, I really do. He's been a fantastic talent, as I say. I used to watch him playing for Sporting. Really good player in that midfield, and you can see why he was brought to the Premier League, and then Pep took him on. It's not quite happened for him so far. He's playing well tonight.
And Alfie Doughty chipping the ball forward. It's knocked away by Akanji. Jordan Clark to Chong on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Luton trying to get themselves back into the game and halving the deficit, and they've got a corner. Chong did well to stick to his task there. Drove it in, it hit Carl Walker and goes out of play for a corner. This will be an outswinger from Doughty from that Luton Town left-hand side. They've had so much success from set pieces over the course of this season. Well, what can they muster from here? Doughty spotting the ball down. Nearly everybody forward. Bell stayed back, but nearly everybody else is forward. 2 inside the 6-yard box, in towards Woodrow at the near post. I think it was Haaland that got the touch to get it away. And Luton will work it back with Jordan Clark inside their own half for Krul. Krul put under immediate pressure by Bernardo Silva, but still able to drive it into the Bedfordshire night sky out towards that left-hand touchline, but just a little bit too hot for Doughty, and goes out of play for a throw that will be taken in the Manchester City right-back position. 27 gone on Talksport. Luton 0, Manchester City 2. Elsewhere, Swindon back ahead at home to Tranmere 2-1, and Derby lead Charlton by a goal to nil. Charlton just a point above the bottom 4 in League One. They've never been in the 4th tier in their history. Could slip into the relegation zone tonight. And Derby, who are 7 points off the top of the table prior to this, their game in hand, lead by a goal to nil at Pride Park. Cash in with that goal 6 minutes from the break.
Can we move on from that game, please, Jim?
Yeah, I knew you would be just a little bit upset. Here's Clark in the midfield, down towards Abeni. Scott, former Charlton player, of course. Here's Burke to Abeni, and Chino Abene's done really well. So too Reece Burke, actually, with a little backheel flick that just came behind Morris, but he was able to recycle it easily enough. Barkley to Bell, out towards Alfie Doughty on the Luton left. He's level with the edge of the penalty area. Luton trailing here 2-0, but Jordan Clark's in possession near the edge of the City box. Barkley trying to take it on, past the initial challenge, slips it in towards Doughty. Low left-footed ball in from him with real power, but not the accuracy for Morris, who just needed it to be played back about 30 degrees from the angle that it came in at. And it's straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. It's too straight.
Yeah, it wasn't a great ball, was it? But no one was getting across the front post. They've got to read that situation. And we spoke before the game about Ross Barkley and how I think he's played this season. I think he's been superb. I really do. But we're not seeing much of him because the ball's been zipped around him. There we did, right on the edge of the box. Laid it to Doughty. He should have looked up, but someone's got to make that run across the near post.
Tim Krul back inside his own penalty area. And driving it forward right-footed. It's an easy header for Akanji, despite the fact that Morris was trying to make life difficult. Nunes trying to pick a pass, and he's gone for Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne will take over. Haaland, first time layoff from him, chipped in from Silva for De Bruyne. Good save, Krul. Haaland straight at the goalkeeper. Well, he could have had 4 inside the opening half an hour. That was City at their imperious best until the finish.
Do you know what, Jim? This is just unbelievable football to watch. It really is. You got 3 players. We're probably marked by about 5, and yet somehow they still find a way to have not just one chance, but a double chance within that.
Credit to Tim Krul. He was in the right place to make the saves, but nevertheless, he came out quickly and was brave, narrowed the angles, got the job done.
He's kept them in his tie so far, for sure.
Well, Haaland spurning 2 very presentable opportunities to get his hat-trick. Here's Alfie Doughty for Luton. Haaland, who scored 21 hat-tricks for club and country in his career up to this point. He'll be really disappointed if he hasn't extended that by the end of the night. Luton have got a free kick here as the ball was played in towards Amari Bell. De Bruyne just catching him on the top of the right foot. And we're half an hour in. Manchester City are 2 goals to the good, and Luton, all things considered, happy still to have a puncher's chance.
Absolutely. I was just about to say they're on the ropes, and they're just trying to just cover themselves up as much as possible and not have that knockout. 3-0 and the tie's over. 2-0. If they can get to 2-0 at half-time and somehow regroup defensively, they're just too open with that 3 at the back. But if they get the next goal, make things interesting.
Doughty. Ball played in. Knocked away before Reece Burke could get there on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Luton get it away towards Tim Krul.
I talked about getting the ball.
Oh, Krul's giving it away. Jack Grealish will be able to pick it up. Krul is scampering to get back. Grealish might have had an attempt earlier, but didn't, and then De Bruyne flights the ball down towards the corner flag. Haaland's going to be able to keep it in. It all came after a Tim Krul side-footed pass out from the back, straight to Jack Grealish. Krul's on the edge of his own penalty area, maybe a little bit further out than that. Grealish, 40, 50 yards out, but certainly you've seen players take a touch and then flight it over the goalkeeper before. Grealish never looked for it.
Have a go. You don't lose anything there. He's 25 yards out of his goal. Jack Grealish is on his right foot. Just shimmy a little bit, get it on the ball on your right foot, and just have a go. And if it goes wide, so be it. But again, maybe that just shows where Jack Grealish is at the moment, not feeling quite confident to just let go, just have a go.
Port Vale leading Fleetwood 2-0 coming up the half-time, an Ethan Chislett penalty. And Salford's leading scorer, Matt Smith's got his 23rd of the season. They're leading Colchester by a goal to nil. Colchester in the bottom four at the start of the night. 32 minutes gone in this. Luton 0, Manchester City 2. Coventry made it through yesterday. The thrashing Maidstone live on Talksport 2. And Manchester City making light work of Luton at the moment. 2 up, and they've had opportunities for more. And the XG will be pretty high from this first half display for Manchester City. 32 minutes in at the moment. Krul getting it forward. Amari Bell now. Played out towards Doughty. Doughty turning it round the corner for the retreating Woodrow. But he's come back from an offside position again. And Manchester City will take the free kick. The XG actually just a shade under 2 at the moment, for all the fact that they've scored twice. And Tim Krul's twice had to deny Erling Haaland. I thought it might be a little bit higher than that.
I'm not sure about that, Jim.
It feels as though instinctively you think it should be a little bit higher than
Absolutely.
that. Here's Akanji forward towards Bernardo Silva, who tried to control the ball and drag it with his right foot back behind his left leg. He got it wrong. Clark for Doughty. Woodrow on the left-hand side now for Luton. Woodrow into a shooting position, and he sent it not too far wide of the top right-hand corner. Who's clearly doing plenty, the shot from Woodrow. Curling in all the time, but he just couldn't quite curve it enough.
No, he couldn't. But again, I want to give credit to John Stones here. I think he put himself in a position where Woodrow had to go so wide that he wasn't able to bend it back in. That's exactly the type of position he wants to get into, just on the inside left, on his right foot, cutting inside and trying to whip it for the far post. In the end, as I say, wasn't quite able to bend it enough.
Corley Woodrow was the man that scored the winner at Everton in the 4th round, a goal that came in the 6th minute of stoppage time. He's got a good record in the FA Cup in his career, with almost a goal every other game. He has played in the 5th round once before, as in the Barnsley side, beaten by Chelsea a few years back. Now, you're not missing anything, incidentally, because Nunes is damn hurt here for Manchester City. About 5 or 6 yards outside his own penalty area, just receiving treatment away to our right-hand side. So, Scott, you talked about the fact that Luton playing with the back three, which they always do, and how open they have been. What do they do to try and put their finger in the dike here?
Well, it's a very difficult thing to do because, you know, at times when you're playing against City, you almost want to count how many players they've got, because it feels like they've got 14 or 15, but they're so good at it. So, but defensively, they need to be a bit more solid. They're too open. They're almost trying to... It's not even a real press. They're almost going man for man, whereas you don't want that. You don't want Haaland left with Mengi, because we've seen what's happened. He's strong enough to deal with a defender, and then he's got the pace and finishing ability to go in behind. So I do think those two centre-halves need to just tuck in a little bit more. I also think the wing-backs need to come back. Look, we've seen quite a lot of Alfie Doughty going forward, and he's put some really good balls in, and some actually haven't been that good, but he's got into position. Haven't seen enough of Benny. We know that the pace he's got, and he's not able to run at Ake just yet. So, you know, if I were Rob Edwards, I'd be saying, yeah, we're getting the ball out to the left, try and get the ball out to the right as well, but then defensively be a little bit more solid and organised.
Looks as though Gabe Osho might be coming on very shortly for Luton, who's just down away to our right-hand side. We had a view on our monitors of him getting an orange shirt put on, so I think he'll be on in a moment. And Nunes is okay, and he is going to be coming back on in a moment, having received his treatment. Let's get an update from the Vitality. Here's Talksport's Alex Cruick.
Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. We played 5 minutes in the second half. No goal-mouth chances as of yet. Both teams have made changes. Ricardo on for Leicester. Meanwhile, Bournemouth have gone to their bench as well. Anton Semenyo has come on at half-time. Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0.
Blackburn 0, Newcastle 0 as well, live for you right now over on Talksport 2. Extra time and penalties on the agenda in both of those games as things stand at the moment. Not in this one. Not just yet. Manchester City leading by 2-0. It could have been more. Luton will bring the ball forward through the midfield and slip it out towards the right-hand side now for Chidozie Obene, former Rotherham man, playing it back towards halfway where Burke has controlled it. He's found Mengi. Mengi right across the halfway line to Ross Barkley. Barkley drawing the challenge of Haaland. Plays it out towards the left-hand side for Amari Bell. Now back for Mengi again. A high diagonal from him. Benny doing well to climb and nod it down, but he couldn't steer it into the path of Morris. Grealish keeping it on the touchline. Ake with a little reverse ball. De Bruyne's picking it up. And the ball will be laid back towards the edge of the penalty area. Well, Osho's getting ready, but they're going to be bringing Joe Johnson on first by the look of it, Luton. So I don't know whether it's going to be a double change that Rob Edwards is making. Johnson, a left wing-back who has only made 4 senior appearances for the Hatters in his career. But number 5 is only moments away. City bringing it forward. Stones going down off the ball, claiming that he was fouled by Doughty. By Woodrow, I beg your pardon, the retreating Luton striker. But play goes on. And now Ake will lay the ball down towards Grealish, who lets it run between his feet. It's gone out of play, and changes are going to be made. And Grealish is coming over towards this near touchline. He's going to have a word with Jeremy Doku, who will replace him. So Doku for Grealish for Manchester City, 7 minutes before half-time. That, I'm sure, is precautionary rather than anything else. Luton will also make a change. And Bell is coming off to be replaced by Joe Johnson. Johnson, the 18-year-old, yet to make his Premier League debut. Started the League Cup defeat at Exeter earlier this season. Came off the bench at Everton in round 4 and gets a longer run tonight. Grealish sat on the bench, has got his tracksuit top over his head, covering his head, and maybe that suggests that it's maybe a little bit more than precautionary.
Absolutely.
For Grealish.
No, you don't make that substitution when you're 2-0 up in the first half unless it's an injury. But again, it's another frustration for Jack Grealish, isn't it? Even when he is playing well, he seems to be picking up injuries. Very tough mentally.
Here's Bernardo Silva. Back to his goalkeeper. Ortega driving it from inside his own half. A long ball over the top. Burke having to chase after it. Doku hoping to get in behind him. Burke gets it back for his goalkeeper. And Krul clears over halfway. Benny beating Ake in the air. Akanji flicking it over the onrushing Carlton Morris down towards De Bruyne, and the offside flag is up against Morris, who immediately puts the index finger of his right hand to his chest to question whether it was him or not. The answer was yes. City take a very quick free kick, and Chong did well to read the danger because Bernardo Silva was nearly in, but Chong got it back to his goalkeeper. And then Krul clears and puts it straight out of play for City throw. It's 2-0 to the visitors.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reece Burke just a couple of minutes ago did a wonderful touch, but you can see already Doku just wanting to get in behind, whereas Jack Grealish doesn't quite give that directness. But, again, I can tell you from a defending point of view, when you see someone like him come on.
And now Haaland onside, goal side of Johnson, and there's his hat-trick, brilliantly taken.
Wow.
A little left-footed clip over the goalkeeper. The flag stayed down. Haaland wheels away. He has a first-half hat-trick. It's Luton 0, Manchester City 3, and the holders have blown the Hatters away.
Do you know what? It's the perfect half for the big team. Coming to a smaller team, away from home, you pick your best team. This is exactly what you want to happen in theory. Pick a strong side, get the game done by half-time if you can. You don't necessarily expect it, but how are Luton going to come back from this now? And it's the movement again, the way he just bends his run, staying on side. And then he has the composure, the finish, and it's a wonderful little dink. I mean, he could be on 4 or 5 by now, couldn't he? He certainly had a couple of chances to get the hat-trick before that one. And in the end, yeah, you can see it is Johnson who's just come on, keeping him onside. He's 2 yards off it. He's just got to push up a little bit further up. And sometimes you have to gamble, because when it comes into a race, you're not going to catch him. And maybe he's not quite warmed up enough. I'll tell you what, he's certainly learned a lesson there, hasn't he?
Well, the goal is still being checked for the offside. The VAR is Rob Jones. That suggests that it's closer than you and I thought it was. I thought it looked a really good call from the assistant referee, Mark Perry, over on the far touchline, that Johnson's right boot had played him onside, that he just pushed forward half a second too late. But we are expecting the goal to stand. City leading by 2, but is it going to be 3? Yes, it is. And Haaland has a hat-trick. It's his 8th for Manchester City, but significantly, it's his first Manchester City hat-trick away from home.
Interesting. Would have thought he'd done that before. Although he has only been here a season and a half, hasn't he?
77 goals in 83 games for Manchester City.
It's outrageous.
25 he has scored this season. So Johnson backpedaling now. Nunes trying to get past him. He's okay, incidentally, after the treatment he received earlier. Krul's going to be able to get the ball away. 3-0 to Manchester City with 3 to go to half-time.
It does help a little bit when you got someone like Kevin De Bruyne laying the 3 goals on for you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does make your life slightly easier. 3 assists for De Bruyne. De Bruyne, who has only a couple of goals short of 100 for Manchester City. He's just laid the ball back here to Kyle Walker. Walker back for Bernardo Silva. 2.5 to go to half-time. Doku making a good run forward here, but Burke's going to be there first for Luton. Oh, he scuffed it and got away with it. Got away with it to an extent because he got the second touch on the ball straight to Nunes. Burke now faces Doku up again. I think Doku was anticipating the bloop there from Reece Burke, who kicked the ball and it went about 6 inches, but he was able to react quicker than Doku to get the second touch, which was significant, and City are forced back inside their own half.
Do you know what the crazy thing is, though? It feels like Luton are just going man for man, and you can't afford to do that. This team is just too good, and the movement they have, you know, there's a couple of players dropping short, and Haaland may well be one of them. Then it's Silva or Nunez just going in behind, and then it feels like it's a one-on-one situation far too many times. They've just got to sit back. I mean, it's too late now. But, as I say, that one-on-one, it's almost Bielsa-type defending. Can't do it against this side. They're just too good.
Yeah, Bournemouth tried it in the first half of the weekend and found it difficult because Silva just dropped into unorthodox positions all over the field and drew players with him, and then Foden would drop back and Senesi would find himself stranded in no man's land as he pushed out from centre half to watch his every move. Here's Abeni for Luton, who trail by 3, and it might have been worse for them. Makanji has done well to keep the ball in and has laid it back to his goalkeeper, and Ortega will clear. Long ball forward from him. Haaland raising his left boot up almost head height to be able to steer it through towards De Bruyne. City have lost it. Luton get it back. Here's Clark towards the edge of the area. Oh, it's a stunning goal. And Luton have one back with the goal of the night. He's 25 yards out, minimal backleft, and he has just laced it into the top right-hand corner. The merest hint of a lifeline. Luton 1, Manchester City 3. He'll never forget that.
He'll certainly not. And I'll tell you what, as he got the ball, he's 25 yards out, and he just puts it to the right-hand side. Ross Barkley does really well, first of all. He comes to the side of Bernardo Silva and then just absolutely sticks it in the top corner. I mean, he could not place it better. Ortega's just looked. It's not even point in diving. It's a wonderful strike.
It is the first goal from open play that Manchester City have conceded in the FA Cup in 900 minutes. Exactly 15 hours. And it was always going to take something special
Absolutely.
to beat that back line, and that was something special. We're in 3 minutes of added time. Luton 1, Manchester City 3. And Krul from inside his 6-yard box fires it out towards the far touchline, where Walker has been beaten in the air by Doughty. And now it comes down for Woodrow. Woodrow with a long diagonal out towards the right-hand side. And Benny is quick. Not even he is that quick. And got a touch just as the ball was going over the line to goal kick.
But do you know what? That goal now brings the scoreline back to as if it was the equivalent of 2-0. And what do we say at 2-0? the next goal is really, really important. So we go in at half-time, 3-1, completely outplayed. Tie should be done. And in fact, Haaland will be kicking himself that he hasn't scored more goals, and that's crazy to say when he scored a hat-trick. But if they were able to come out and just start well in the second half and get the next goal, we could be on for something amazing. Who knows? Maybe I'm being a little bit optimistic there, Jim, I know.
Well, forgive me if I remember this incorrectly, but the recent game here against Chelsea, they were 3-0 down and completely dead and buried.
That's true.
Then got 2 back, and it looked for all the world as though they were going to be able to salvage something.
If that game had gone on another 10 minutes, they would have done. They would have. There was so much on top on Chelsea towards the end.
No disrespect to the current Chelsea side, but this Manchester City team, particularly with the form that they've been in tonight, is a different prospect. It's 3-1. Burke with the clearance, Kovacic bringing it down, Akanji angling it over the top, cushion header from Haaland, trying to get Nunez in, one back by the youngster Johnson, the 18-year-old finding number 18 Clark, and now Barkley drives forward, but having beaten Kovacic, he couldn't beat Akanji as well, and Stones shepherds it back to his goalkeeper. The right-footed clearance from Ortega, out towards the right-hand side for Erling Haaland, up to 25 goals for the season now. De Bruyne trying to play him in, and has played him in. He's got to try and turn Mengi. Mengi with his arms around him has wrestled into the ground. And it's a free kick to Manchester City, right on the stroke of half-time. It's 10 outside the box and just right of centre.
But it's all Mengi can do, because again, he's left to be the last man, because Luton are trying to press really high and go man for man. So all Ortega's doing is just dinking it over the top. In fact, he's not even dinking it, he's pinging it over the top, which means that Luton can't then get back quickly. And Mengi has to have that wrestle. If he gets done, he's on one-on-one again, Haaland.
Anthony Taylor has actually brought the ball back significantly from where the players ended up on the deck. Chong stands effectively as a wall, but it's just a one-man wall. Krul wanting a good view of this. Kyle Walker's the player that's standing over it. The shot looks an outside bet, to be fair. It's going to be knocked short instead towards De Bruyne. 3 minutes of stoppage time are up. Walker works it short one way, then gets it back. Now short the other for Bernardo Silva. In from him, headed away by Mengi, then by Johnson. Brought down again by De Bruyne. Now towards Nunez, and that's half-time. First half has had a little bit of everything. Manchester City off to a 3rd-minute lead. Erling Haaland scoring that, the first of his hat-trick. His 8th in Manchester City colours. Manchester City, immaculate, imperious, irresistible, but Luton pulling one back just before half-time with the goal of the game, a stunning effort from Jordan Clark. Half-time at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton Town 1, Manchester City 3.
And elsewhere, half-time on Talksport 2 in the FA Cup 5th round, Blackburn 0, Newcastle 0, and Bournemouth still goalless into the second half against Leicester. So all the goals are here at Kenilworth Road on Talksport. A brilliant first half. Let's take a look at the first half highlights with Carling.
The Emirates FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Well, the City fans are applauding their heroes, and Scott Minto, I don't know what you do if you're Rob Edwards, if you're any Premier League manager, when Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland are in this kind of form, in this kind of mood, they look unstoppable, the pair of them.
They've been superb. I mean, first of all, in these type of FA Cup games where you go away from home against a smaller side, and obviously it's a small stadium, it's about attitude. Pep, clearly, with the team that he's picked, has said, we want to really go for this. You can imagine in the dressing room beforehand as well, it's all about attitude, attitude, attitude. I mean, what I would say from a Luton point of view, I'm really surprised they've tried to press and almost go man for man in the way that they have. Because all it's done is that Ortega has just dinked it really up to Haaland. Then there's a battle, and it's a one-on-one with him and Mengi. You know, and he lays it off at times, then runs in behind. Yeah, absolutely. So when you give Kevin De Bruyne that amount of space, and when you give Haaland that amount of space, and it's almost 1v1, it's a little bit of a recipe for disaster, but they have been good, haven't they, in that first half?
They've been irresistible. They've been absolutely fantastic. As a neutral, just watching it, I think the Luton fans, of course, they're trying to get behind their side, but what they're doing is they're just appreciating what's going on as well. You called it early, that one-on-one battle between Mengi and Haaland has been very, very physical. They've both played their parts in it, but I think Haaland has been cuter. As the half's worn on, he's almost relaxed his body and let Mengi get physical with him. And then, when there's been enough contact, I don't think he's diving, but he's gone to ground and he's won free kicks. He's just won that mental battle and the physical battle, really.
Well, look, he's a world-class player. He's probably the best finisher in world football. And he's up against a player that, is loving life being in the Premier League and not happy to be here because he wants to give it all every single time. But the class difference between the two, Mengi wants to try and make it as physical as possible. And in the beginning, first 5-6 minutes, he was kind of dealing with Haaland, but you're right. Haaland then realised, okay, there's times where I need to pick and choose. I'll go down when I need to, but I'll also when I don't need to, and I've got that strength and power and pace and height as well. Then once I've got half a yard, I'm just going for it. And he was superb, he really was. He's had a hat-trick, he could have 5 easily.
Oh, yeah, he missed a one-on-one. He also missed the rebound after Kevin De Bruyne's shot was saved, and Erling Haaland fired his rebound straight at the goalkeeper, Tim Krul, as well. I must mention Jordan Clark. 4 years ago, I watched him for Accrington. I think it was 4 years ago this month. He was the best player on the pitch. His team lost 2-0, but he's just scored an absolute wonder goal for Luton Town against the English, European and world champions. If you told me 4 years ago he'd go from Accrington's ground to doing this, I would have laughed in your face.
Do you know what?
It's a brilliant goal.
It's a wonderful story, and this club is a wonderful story. A decade ago, they're in the National League.
Yeah.
And look where they are now, in the Premier League and in the 5th round of the FA Cup. It's a wonderful story, individually and collectively. But of course, they've still got that attitude of, okay, we're happy to be here, but we want to show we're worthy of being here. They're doing that, but today they're being outclassed. I do think the tactics, as I say, without the ball, is a little bit kamikaze. And Haaland is dealing with that one-on-one situation very, very well indeed. It's not too defensive or boring to say, just get back, make it a 5, make it tight, let them play in front of you. But they're not. They're trying to press, go man for man, and then that ball over the top is really troubling them.
I just want to mention the second goal. We could go through in big detail all 3 Man City goals and the Luton goal because they were that brilliant. But that second one, it's actually a brilliant 1-2, where Erling Haaland just pokes the ball back to Kevin De Bruyne in the centre circle. He then spins Mengi, runs into the box, stays onside. Kevin De Bruyne takes one touch, plays him right through the centre, and he scores. For me, that is an understanding between 2 players, and it's just fantastic football, split-second decisions, the speed of thought, the speed with which they're doing everything, plus the physicality as well when you're trying to be opposed by a defender. It's almost like the perfect goal for me, that one.
Well, the words world class are bandied around a bit too much, but these 2 players are without a doubt world class. I have to say again, I think the second goal for me is my perfect example of where Luton are a little bit crazy, a little bit kamikaze, going, trying to press as much as possible, whereas they should just sit back because Ortega's just pinged it into Haaland, who's laid it off and then run. I mean, it's textbook centre-forward play, really. But when you've got someone like De Bruyne who can read that situation, who knows what's happening, the ball's going to come to him, wants to put the ball in exactly where he knows his centre-forward wants it to be, and then he does the rest. It's brilliant. And look, we've seen a few relationships over the years in the Premier League, haven't we? But I think Haaland and De Bruyne are going to blitz everybody.
We're in the presence of genius, and I'm not talking about Scott Minto. Comes close. I'm talking about Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. They look unstoppable. They look fantastic. That was thanks to Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18+. Please drink responsibly.
The Emirates FA Cup halftime highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18+. Please drink responsibly.
This was an 8 o'clock kickoff, so 3-1 to City here at Luton. It's 0-0 Blackburn Newcastle live on Talksport 2. That's also at half-time. That was a delayed kickoff. That got underway at 8 as well. 7:30 kickoff in the third 5th round tie tonight down at Bournemouth. What's happening, Alex Crook?
Still Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. This cup tie very much in the balance. We had loads of chances in the first half, not quite so many in the second, but Bournemouth have been denied by the post. Marcus Senesi up from the back with a curling effort. The Leicester goalkeeper, Jakub Stolarczyk, seemed to just lose flight of the ball. Looked like it was heading for the bottom corner. In the end, it rebounded off the right-hand upright. Both teams have made changes in this second period. Kelechi Iheanacho has a wonderful record in the FA Cup. 18 goals in 21 games in the competition. He's on for Leicester. I wonder if he might add to his tally between now and full-time, because the Championship leaders very much in this game. Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0.
It's kick-off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. We've got goals going in the second half in the EFL. Newport lead 3-0 now. A playoff chasing Harrogate. Newport chasing the playoffs themselves. Ozzy Zanzala with his second of the night. And relegation threatened Kidderminster under Phil Brown now lead 1-0 at Solihull Moors, who are in the playoff places in the National League. Jack Lambert with the goal on 49 minutes. Well, we're going to hear from Eric Ten Hag very shortly. They've got Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup live on the Talksport network tomorrow night. Half time here at Kenilworth Road. It's been a brilliant 45. It's Luton 1, Man City 3.
Kick-off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. I've worked hard to build your business, so it's important it's properly protected. At NFU Mutual, our tradesman insurance has received a 5-star rating by De Facto for the past 10 years. No wonder over 95% of our business insurance customers renew every year. With agency offices across the UK, we're closer to you, closer to your business, closer to what matters. Search NFU Mutual Builders and Trades Insurance.
Here they come, racing lovers of the UK in the Coral Fan Derby. We've got the women with hats the size of houses boxing in the armchair experts. Neck and neck, it's the number crunchers. Their pencils sharp, their expertise sharper. The parents on a day out are the ones to catch. But moving up on the outside are those who back the horse because it's got a funny name. They've snatched victory and they don't even know it. However you enjoy it, we know it's the fans that make horse racing what it is. Coral, we're here for it.
18+. T's and C's apply. Take time to think.
Sometimes running a business can feel like swimming upstream in Siberia.
Welcome.
With a bear clinging onto your leg. But Xero online accounting software can help you manage the ins and outs of your finances in real time, so you can keep them running smoothly. Soon it will feel more like you're going down a water slide.
Your turn.
In a rubber ring. Or being serenaded by a string quartet. Search Xero with an X. Because healthy business is beautiful business.
What a team! What a team! And to think these lads have never played together and probably never will. That's the beauty of LiveScore Bet squads. It's free to play and all that counts is putting the ball in the back of the net.
And putting some cash in your pocket.
That too, Steve. LiveScore Bet squads. Every time they score, you score. Up to £50 in cash. Deposited account required. Players revealed Monday to Friday, max 5 per round. Withdrawable cash amount per goal varies. T's and C's apply. Bet responsibly. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Introducing the McSpicy and Frank's Red Hot Burger, featuring irresistible Frank's Red Hot Mayo, jalapenos, cheese, and our mouth-watering crispy, spicy coated chicken. You lot ain't ready for this one.
McSpicy and Frank's Red Hot, the hottest drop of the year. Until 12th of March from 11 a.m, subject to availability. Frank's Red Hot bottle not available at McDonald's.
In People's Postcode Lottery's March draws, your ordinary postcode could deliver some rather extraordinary news. Because a share of £17.8 million must be won. And there's prizes every day. So join the 70% of postcodes across Great Britain that are already playing. And sign up your postcode before midnight on the 29th of February. Good things come knocking with People's Postcode Lottery. PPL manage lotteries on behalf of good causes. 18+. Conditions apply. Play responsibly. Not available in Northern Ireland.
At Wix, get Dulux Standard 2.5 litre coloured emulsion was £21, now £15. Be house proud with Wix. Ends Wednesday. Terms apply.
There are all sorts of fans who make racing what it is. The armchair expert who knows it all, right down to what the horse had for breakfast. The country gents head to toe in tweed, and the ladies with their extravagant hats. The banana-suited stag-do lads, and the nan who just backed the horse because it has a funny name. Whatever kind of racing fan you are, don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning from 6 on the Superstar Breakfast on Talksport with Coral. We're here for it. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
The Emirates FA Cup live on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18+, please drink responsibly. Live football coverage that's beyond compare.
What a ball!
No one does football quite like this.
He hits it first time, what a volley, what a goal!
Kick-off, FA Cup special
on Talksport.
We're back here live at Kenilworth Road, waiting for the second half. City lead 3-1. The Sports Bar with O'Hara and Cundy follows us at 10 o'clock, and you can not only call the show, you can also send the boys voice notes. Same number, 03717 22 3344, and I've actually got one coming in from Jason Cundy.
Hi, it's him, Jamie O'Hara, and me, Jason Cundy, coming up from 10 o'clock, talking about all of the fifth round games in the FA Cup tonight. Luton, what's wrong with Luton? Why do they always concede the first two goals of the game? Then they've got to fight. But by the way, it's 3-1. No classical music tonight. No violin list. It's half-time at Blackburn. It is Blackburn 0, Newcastle 0 as well. And we're going into the last... hold on. No, it's still Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0 as well. So me, him, Sports Bar, 03717 22 3344. No classical music.
It was brilliant last night. It was hilarious. More of the same tonight from O'Hara and Cundy when we're done here at Kenilworth Road, where City lead by 3-1. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
And City are 66-1 on to win. Luton are 250-1. The draw in 90 minutes, 33-1. Over on Talksport 2, Blackburn goalless with Newcastle. Blackburn are 13-2 to win. Newcastle 7-4 on. The draw in 90, 23-10. That's the latest odds with Ladbrokes. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Now, tomorrow night on the TalkSport Network, we'll have more FA Cup action. It's Chelsea Leeds on TalkSport 2. I'll be at Liverpool Southampton, and here on TalkSport, Man United visit Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup, with Erik ten Hag feeling the heat after his side's 2-1 defeat at home to Fulham on Saturday. Speaking to TalkSport's Mickey Gray today, the United boss was defiant and feels that he's unfairly criticised.
So I brought Kobe Mino, and everyone is questioning. And now we are 6 weeks ahead, and the same who questioning are now telling he has to go in the England squad. Same people. Garnacho, it's the truth. I brought Garnacho. So what is the manager doing? What is the staff doing?
Well, Erik ten Hag feeling the heat. It sounds like it as well. Story on the transfer notebook on the Talksport.com website about Marcus Rashford's and Erik ten Hag having a frosty relationship as well. But tomorrow night, FA Cup live on the TalkSport network as Luton come back out for the second half. We've got goals going in the EFL. Accrington lead 1-0 at Walsall. A penalty from their top scorer, Jack Nolan. Leyton Orient might make a late charge for the playoffs in League One. They lead Blackpool 1-0. The Irishman, Ollie O'Neill, 2-2 for him. Lincoln go 2-0 up against Shrewsbury. Rico Hackett, 2-2 for him. And a half-time, Wigan 0, Bolton 0. And in the Scottish Championship, the leaders Dundee United are a goal down at home to Airdrie. But we're just waiting for Manchester City to make their way out. Just as they make their way onto the pitch, the City players, they lead by 3-1. Jack Grealish off injured. He had his tracksuit top over his face. Very much looked like an injury and looked like it could keep him out for some time as well. Been a difficult season for the England man. There's an England squad in a couple of weeks as well. Might be a surprise if he is in that squad. We'll wait for confirmation of what's gone wrong there. Getting ready for the start of the second half. And we've been talking about Erik ten Hag. Sunday, it's the Manchester derby at the Etihad. The United scouts here tonight might have noted that the ginger lad in midfield and the big blonde up front need to be watched. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the United scout is either left or is crouched in a corner rocking and sobbing somewhere here at Kenilworth Road. Luton 1, City 3. Second half live on TalkSport now with Cup winner Scott Minto and Jim Proudfoot.
Well, I'm led to believe that it is a recurrence of the groin problem that Jack Grealish picked up that he suffered with in Copenhagen as well. He made his comeback and now it's been exacerbated again. But we'll confirm that for you when we hear from Pep Guardiola after the game. And at the moment, he will be expecting to be in tomorrow's quarter-final draw, with Manchester City leading 3-1. We're back underway. I'll run through the two teams for you in a moment. It's given away by Tim Krul right at the start of the second half. Coming onto it, De Bruyne. Haaland just waiting to pull the trigger on the edge of the penalty area, and it was snaffled away from him. But Manchester City almost with a side of goal because of a Luton defensive error within 15 seconds of the start of the second half. Scott Minto.
Well, first of all, if it's not City in the next round of the Cup, then we are about to witness one of the greatest comebacks in FA Cup history. Manchester City absolutely superb in that first half, but Luton have a little bit of a lifeline with that goal. And as I say, if they do get the next one, somehow, then we have a game on our hands.
The ball cleared by Ortega. And he's done well just to squeeze it through the middle for Nunes. Threading it through the eye of a pretty thin needle to find him. Jeremy Doku's got it now, running at Abene. Abene dancing backwards with him, keeping the gap between the pair of them. Doku laying it back now for Kovacic. Doku had that extraordinary game against Bournemouth back before Christmas where he scored the first and then has set up 4 of the next 5, but hasn't had a goal or a Premier League assist in the 10 league games since then. Just hoping to try and play his way back into a little bit of form, kind of form that he showed in his early Manchester City days. It's Walsall equalised at Hondo Accrington in League 2. Ortega clipping it forward in the air this time. It's bounced off Haaland. Haaland's done well, they'll hold it up. Now he plays in Stones. Krullo's going to race to the edge of his penalty area and comfortably gather the ball.
I don't like this man-to-man marking, I really don't. City know it's coming. A lot of the midfielders are just dropping deep, and then it's either 1v1 with Haaland up there or 2v2 as well. And I'll tell you what, City very nearly got in. We talked about how good John Stones is, just overplayed that ball. But if he hadn't have done, had a better touch, then he may well have been in on goal.
An equaliser for Charlton in their big game at Derby. Alfie May, their leading goal scorer, has netted from the penalty spot. And that's his 21st of the season.
Go on, Alfie.
And it's 1-1. This one 3-1 to Manchester City. Stones poking it forward towards Bernardo Silva. Down towards Walker. He can't get past the Luton substitute Johnson, who's playing as a left wing back in this second half. He was playing at a left centre half when he came on in the first for Bell. Chong's got it. A little bit of ball juggling from him, and it's come off Bernardo Silva and gone out of play. Luton lining up, then Krul in goal. Burke, Mengi and Doughty, the 3 centre halves. Johnson on the left, Abene on the right. Clark, Barkley and Chong in midfield. Morris and Woodrow up front. There's John Stones for Manchester City. Bringing it forward through the centre circle. Barkley chasing after him. Stones slipping it in. Nunes is in! And the shot takes a deflection. Krul got a hand to it. And it's stabbed away by Doughty out of play for a throw.
They're so open, aren't they, with the movement of City? And again, I keep on repeating it. The fact that they're going man for man just means that City just need to keep the ball moving, get some good movement off the ball as well. And Nunes has got it. He's got to score there. He's what, 12, 13 yards out?
There's another fantastic ball played to him by John Stones. City lining up Ortega in goal, Walker, Akanji and Ake. And then Kovacic, Stones pushing forward from centre half alongside him. Then it's Silva, De Bruyne, Nunes, and now Doku came on for the injured Grealish. And hat-trick, Haaland up front. Throw to be taken by Johnson on the Luton left-hand side, almost on halfway. 3-1 to Manchester City, 4 minutes into the second half. City 3-0 up 5 minutes before half-time, before a wonderful goal from Jordan Clark got Luton on the board. And he's got it now, and he's played it off towards Burke. Burke out to the Luton Town right for Abene. Luton in their orange shirts with the white vertical stripe down the left-hand side. Good ball from Barkley into the feet of Woodrow, who knew he'd lost it and went to ground very easily. City try and bring it forward, and a better ball in towards De Bruyne. Might have set up a 2 against 2. Luton gathered away and out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the City right. Here's Scott Minto.
Yeah, Mengi wasn't messing about there at all, was he? No, I actually felt there was contact on Woodrow on the edge of the box from Akanji. If that had been a foul, that would have been, what, 20, 22 yards out? Almost bang in front of goal. I'm sure Ross Barkley would have fancied his chances.
Walker motioned that he's going to take a throw upfield, and then went back for Ortega. Ortega let Woodrow come towards him and then siphoned it calmly out of the penalty area for Akanji. And Akanji gets it forward into the feet of Jeremy Doku. You're with Talksport right across the United Kingdom. and Sirius XMFC across North America tonight. 3-1 to Manchester City. There's Doku on the City right. Playing it back for Walker. 10 yards outside the penalty area, turns it into the feet of Haaland. De Bruyne made a good run off him and Burke followed him every step of the way. De Bruyne's got it now. Stones is in space to his right, but he tried to side foot it forward for Haaland down the inside left channel. Then Ake ends up going to ground and just was pulled down there by Morris. And the referee has given a free kick to Manchester City. Chong thought he should have had one for a collision between him and Stones in the previous phase of play that the referee didn't give, and Chong just wanted a word with Anthony Taylor about that and asking for clarification about the decision. City take their free kick, work it back for Kovacic. He's inside his own half, but bereft of options, and he's given it away to Burke. Burke making his way forward, Stones-like through the midfield. Mopped up though by Akanji. Ortega will clear, not the best. Fell for Barkley, 25 yards out. His first shot was scuffed, now he's got it through. Clark! And there's another one back. And it is game on here at Kenilworth Road. Luton 2, Manchester City 3. 2 in 6 minutes, either side of half-time from Jordan Clark. And the European and Premier League champions looked home and hosed after 40, now after 52. It is game on again.
Wow, brilliant. Fantastic from the home side. Again, I talked about the character that Luton have. They will never be beaten in that way. And look, it was a really poor kick out from Ortega. Ross Barkley had a chance to have a shot, and his shot was very poor. But then he had the composure to bring the ball down, to watch Jordan Clark make the run, to dink it over the Man City stationary defence. And the chest and volley, absolutely emphatic. Jim, we have a game on our hands.
Well, at 3-0, we were saying that it could have been 5 or 6. It felt as though it was completely academic that chances had gone awry, that Manchester City were in such complete control. Such a different feel about it now. Jordan Clark hasn't scored all season. He's got 2 now, and it's 2-3 as Walker's ball inside the penalty area is deflected away. Walker, Kovacic helping it back in. Touch from Bernardo Silva was clever. Just stretching out a right leg, guarding it down for Walker. Now they'll try and bring it forward down the right-hand side of the penalty area. An opportunity for De Bruyne to try and get inside the box. Burke with a handful of his shirt, which is the point that De Bruyne was making, but no foul. And in the end, he just ran out of room and the ball went over the line and out of play for a goal kick. So get this, Luton 2, Manchester City 3, and now perhaps extra time is on the agenda after all. Because they don't need much here to be able to get behind their side and cheer them home. And those are the Kenny believe.
Absolutely. They're 3-0 down. I think even the most ardent supporter didn't believe that they would come back from this. And you know what, if City don't go through, it might be amazing to think of Erling Haaland thinking about his misses, and yet he got the hat-trick. 2 misses, of course, in the first half. Gets the hat-trick. I'll tell you what, the Kenny are right behind their team, but one thing you would say is there's no way City will panic. They've been here before, so experienced. If they play this right, they will go through, they will score again. Luton are open the way they're playing defensively. But at the moment, the Kenny believe.
Haaland back for Doku, now to Walker. Walker out towards Mateus Nunes. The Luton fans of our vintage and older will remember. Come back to that in a moment as De Bruyne is in right inside of the area. Haaland walks it in. His and City's 4th. And maybe that fight back has just hit the buffers. De Bruyne setting him up yet again. He could not miss. He walked onto it, side-footed it in. It's Luton 2, City 4, and the striking Viking has them all.
And Kevin De Bruyne with yet another assist. Just unbelievable play from City. I talked about the composure, they won't panic. A wonderful ball from Kyle Walker. Great run from Kevin De Bruyne. And that's the problem you have with the man-to-man defensive marking. It just takes one little switch off. You're coming up against Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best midfielders in the world. He knows how to not just know what to do when he's got the ball, but how to make those runs in behind as well. He looks up. He knows where Erling Haaland's going to be. He cuts it back. It's the simplest of finish for Haaland.
Well, Luton have made a change in the immediate aftermath of the goal. Townsend for Woodrow. Andros Townsend, who once scored one of the best goals I've ever seen against Manchester City back in his Palace days. Has reached the quarterfinals of this competition with Palace and Everton in the past.
Do you know what?
Having built up a head of steam, and is it going to dissipate entirely now after that? Here's Chong going the long way round Walker and almost flicking it past Ortega, but he was in fact offside.
Sorry, Jim, I was about to say, I don't think we've seen the end of the goals either. From either end, maybe. Luton will never give up, and they may well create some chances, but you just feel the way City are playing and the way the tactics Luton are defensively. Again, another long ball up to Haaland.
And he's got it on the edge of the penalty area. He's flicked it in for Núñez. Haaland in space on the right-hand side of the box. Núñez trying to get a shot in on the turn, and he can. But Krul gets down and brings the ball into his body. And it remains 4-2. Well, he has scored 4 in a game once before for Manchester City. That day actually ended up with 5, if you know what I mean. He's got more than 3 in a game once. That was the 7-0 win against Leipzig, where he scored 5 in 35 minutes. It's 4 in 51 minutes for him tonight. And City 4-2 up. And it will do him the world of good. Bernardo Silva into him again. Haaland! And it's in for number 5. He cannot stop. He's rewriting FA Cup history in front of our eyes. Luton 2, Manchester City 5. Erling Haaland has a handful.
Just about to say there's every chance of him hitting 5, and again it's just Luton's defending. It's just so open. You know, it's hard enough to play against this Manchester City side, but I do have to say they're just, this man-to-man marking's not working. It's a poor, well, it's not a save, it's a poor attempt of a save from Tim Krul. And Erling Haaland will be a little bit shy in claiming it, but he'll claim it all right, being number 5. Decent strike, but it's straight at the keeper. And it's kind of gone through his legs, almost hit the heel of his left foot. I said we haven't seen the end of the goals. That is tie over. I still think there might be 1 or 2 more if Luton decide to keep on defending like this.
So it's 2 in 2 minutes. And just as it looked as though Luton have manoeuvred themselves into a position that they could potentially get themselves back into extra time, that chance is surely gone. The 3-goal lead restored. Krul down towards Doughty on the left-hand touchline. Johnson laying it back to him. Walker almost able to get in, but Mengi can get it away, and he thrashes it through the midfield for Townsend, who can control it and now run. He's got a Benny to his right, had to check his run to stay onside. Ross Barkley is played in. Now he goes out to Chido Abene on the right-hand side of the penalty area. But Doku has done well to win it back. And Doku plays it forward for Kevin De Bruyne. Luton 2, Manchester City 5. Here's Doku. Doku square to his right-hand side for John Stones. Haaland now up to 79 in 83 for Manchester City, which ain't bad. And goal number 80 might be coming. Here's Ake. Ake in towards him and just deflected back past him, and it's half cleared. Bernardo Silva tries to come onto it. Johnson wins it, and he's going to be able to bring it away for Luton down the line towards Morris. Morris tried to guide it back down the Luton left-hand side. He was stopped from doing so by Bernardo Silva, and City are still in the mood for more.
I wonder if Haaland can get to 83 and 83. Put it past him. If they keep on making opportunities like this as well, he's certainly got a few more goals left in him. Kevin De Bruyne would be saying, hold on a minute, I didn't make assist for him there, I'm not happy. They're just so good. So good. And again, just waiting for Ortega just to play it up to, this time to Doku. He's so open, Luton, defensively.
Well, he's never scored 6 in a match in his club career. He did once score a triple hat-trick playing for Norway's under-20s in a match against Honduras, which Norway won 12-0. He got 9 of them. Here's Nunes coming forward towards the edge of the box. He has just fouled Mengi, smacks the ground with the palm of his right hand in dismay, but the free kick has been given. Luton work it forward. Morris close to being offside. The flag stayed down. Stones is goal side of him. Here's Carlton Morris again as Luton look to try and get back into the game. Johnson on the edge of the area. Right-footed ball clipped in. Headed away before it got to Chong. Brought down by De Bruyne on the edge of the D. Townsend didn't give him any thinking time. Townsend flicks it back for Barkley, whose left-footed effort deflects and hits Morris. Goes over the bar for a goal kick. I think a few of the Luton fans thought that hit Stones, but it did hit Morris. That's deflected away. It's a goal kick, which will be taken by Ortega. We've played just over an hour, and it's been a 7-goal thriller so far. Now, Luton are going to make a double change while they do so. Let's go back to Bournemouth. Alex Crook.
Lucky you, Jim, getting all the goals tonight. It's Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. We're into extra time here. Both teams hit the post. Brighton for Leicester, Senesi for the Cherries, and Yunus could have won it late on for the Foxes. He blazed over when one-on-one with Mark Travers, the Bournemouth goalkeeper. Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0.
Well, these are pretty invidious circumstances for Daiki Hashioka, the Japanese international wing-back, to come on to make his Luton debut. But he has replaced Chido Abene at right wing-back, and Peli Ruddakampanzu has come on as well.
I'm just thinking we need to give Crookie a couple of goals, don't we?
Can we spare any? Here's Hashioka, and immediately tries to get in down the right-hand side. His bleached blonde hair, Japanese international that they signed from St. Troiden in Belgium for 1.7 million. It's taken him a little bit of time to get acclimatised to English football, but still a player for whom they have really high hopes. So 0-0 in extra time in that game at Bournemouth. Still 0-0 as well. Blackburn against Newcastle live on Talksport 2. Here's De Bruyne. Good save from Krul. He's got it again, Kevin De Bruyne. It's Haaland inside the box. Tapped away from him, and Barkley should be able to complete the clearance. Just ran into traffic. Bernardo Silva laying it back. Walker driving it now towards Ake. Ake doing well, taking steps backwards and controlling it on his chest. Kovacic back for Bernardo Silva again. 18 minutes into the second half. City 3 up. That became 3-2. It's now 5-2. And Erling Haaland and Jordan Clark have scored all 7 between them. Ball played forward by Nunes. Doku with a great turn, trying to get the better of Hashioka. He's managed that. Reverse ball inside the area. It was read by Chong. Got it away from Stones. Hashioka pokes it away down towards Johnson. And Luton will be able to clear a crossfield ball into space that Peli Ruddakampanzu is going to get to. Luton 2, Manchester City 5 on Talksport.
Yeah, good ball from the youngster. He had about 3 City players around him. Just a crossfield ball just to almost let his Luton side breathe a little. You get the feeling if City really want to go for 6 and 7 and maybe even more, then they will get them.
Now Bernardo Silva, just given a surreptitious shove by Ross Barkley, and a good reverse ball in. Morris is onside. Good save, Ortega. Morris trying to flick it over him from a tightish angle left hand side. Johnson back for Barkley. Barkley, good save, best save of the night. Dived away to his left hand side. Ortega got his fingertips to it to flick it around the post for a corner. Gets an immediate high five from Ake. And that stopped Luton getting back in the game again.
Well, it's 2 brilliant saves. I have to say, we saw Haaland in a similar position just dink it over the keeper for a goal. If Morris had done the same, then it would have been another one. But that one there, diving to his left from Ross Barkley. 2 really good saves from Ortega.
There have been some significant goals elsewhere, including Charlton going 2-1 up at Derby. I'll run through all of the latest scorelines in a moment. In comes the corner, headed on, and somehow Chong couldn't bundle it in. Flick from Barkley, which caused all kinds of problems. And had Chong not made any contact at all, that might have gone in. It hit Chong, couldn't turn it over the line from close range. And the lead stays at 3.
Oh my goodness, the flick comes in. Great ball, you have to say. Ortega pushes him away, and it actually goes into the path of where the ball's coming, but it's hit his chest and he's not able to do anything with it. The ball just floats back to Ortega. This game is crazy.
Now, Harrogate have one back at home to Newport. They're 4-1 down. Colchester have equalised at Salford. Told you that Charlton lead 2-1 at Derby. Chesterfield 2 up at Barnet. Will Grigg is on fire again and has scored yet again this season. It's 24th of the campaign, and they'll be 23 points clear at the end of the night. Massive win incoming potentially for Sutton, who are 4-3 up at Notts County after Charlie Lakin's penalty. How Sutton need that in their relegation battle under Steve Morrison. Bernardo Silva laying the ball back for Nunes. 5-2 to Manchester City with 20 minutes gone in the second half. Our coverage of the FA Cup on Talksport brought to you with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. I'll tell you something, Nottingham Forest against Manchester United's got a bit to live up to tomorrow. That's live on Talksport. 7 o'clock build-up, 7:45 kick-off. The build-up coming from Anfield, where Liverpool take on Southampton. And we'll also bring you Chelsea against Leeds, which is live on Talksport 2 from 7:30. So we've got the FA Cup all covered for you tomorrow. That includes the FA Cup quarter-final draw. Coventry already in it, Manchester City surely joining them. But as for the other two ties tonight, we're still no closer to knowing.
Feels like a proper FA Cup tie, this, doesn't it? Almost a classic one, old school one. Two teams just really going for it, trying to attack. Of course, tactics are involved, but actually it's just, well, you attack, we attack, and then see who scores. The problem for Luton is come up against the best team in the world. As I say, I do think strange tactics a little bit about how they're trying to deal with Manchester City without the ball, but City have been superb, and I think to say that 5, they could have had 7, 8, maybe even 9 quite easily. Luton could have had 3, maybe 4. I do feel there's more to come.
Yeah, just for a moment, Ted McDougall might have been a little bit worried. Ted McDougall.
Did he get 7?
Well, no, my memory is he got 9. I might
9,
be wrong.
9, you might be right.
It was Bournemouth against Margate, is that right?
Yeah.
1971. Well, my excuse for not knowing is that so you were born then and I wasn't.
Absolutely, I was born then.
Here's Stones. And back towards Kovacic. I wasn't far behind. The ball, Akanji, back to his goalkeeper, Ortega. And Ortega will just drive it into midfield. It's chested down by Doughty. We're midway through the second half. Luton still game, still going. Alfie Doughty has it over on the right flank. Back from him to Hashioka. And the blonde-haired Japanese international making his debut just works it back down the line for Alfie Doughty again. So much to react to on the sports bar. Erling Haaland, a player whose recent performances have drawn a little bit of criticism. This is some answer. Great riposte. Chong down towards Johnson. Johnson on the left-hand side of the penalty area. High up and under cross from him. It's heading down and cross the face of goal from Townsend. Then when Johnson keeps it in, he does so from an offside position. City want to play on and can do so. De Bruyne just losing out on halfway though to Burke. The referee played a really long advantage and now has pulled play back. And the boos and the whistles from the Luton fans indicate that they think that Anthony Taylor has given Manchester City 2 bites of the cherry there.
No, that's too long. That's too long. I'm all for playing the advantage, but that's too long. You know, what happened was the ball went to the far post. Andros Townsend, he actually struck it really well, but it went past the goal. Joe Johnson was in an offside position, tried to put the ball back in, and then City have gone forward, but it must have gone 7 or 8 seconds on. That's too long.
Anthony Taylor put his his hand to his ear, as if to say, I've just had instructions that I didn't have before, but he did appear to indicate play on. Doku's now go down hurt over on the far side. Newcastle lead at Blackburn. The conclusion of that game, live for you right now on Talksport 2. Anthony Gordon, the man with the goal. His 9th of the season. Newcastle aiming for only their 2nd quarter-final since 2006. Now they're about 17 minutes away from it. Blackburn 0, Newcastle 1, live over on Talksport 2. Woking with a big equaliser at home to Gateshead in the National League. Oldham 2-1 up at Eastleigh in that same division. Wycombe lead Cheltenham 1-0. Joe Lowe scoring that goal. Cheltenham have had a really good revival under Darrell Clark in recent weeks, but set to stay in the bottom four in League One tonight. Losing 1-0 very late on at Wycombe. Wycombe who are through the EFL Trophy final, Bristol Street Motors Trophy. They will take on Peterborough at Wembley, and that's a game that will be coming up for you in the forthcoming weeks here on the TalkSport network. This one tonight, 20 minutes from time on Talksport and Sirius XM-FC in North America. Manchester City leading by 5-2.
Is Adrian working on that Wembley final? Has he pulled rank?
He has pulled. He will be there. Unbiased, unpartisan.
No chance.
Here's Bernardo Silva towards Akanji. And Akanji going out towards the left-hand side. Is Adrian a Peterborough fan, by the way? You'd have thought he'd have mentioned that at some stage. Here's Kovacic coming forward. Goes out towards Doku. Now Doku with an opportunity to run at Hashioka. He's got Kovacic ahead of him. He's got it onto his right foot. Low skidding shot. Tim Krul got enough to that to get it away. Haaland can pick it up. Outside the penalty area. Finds Nunes. Nunes back towards Kyle Walker. Walker down to Nunes again. John Stones coming forward towards from halfway. Stones towards the edge of the penalty area. Kovacic getting it onto his right foot. Let's fly, and there's 6. He has just blasted it past Tim Krul. Simply done him for pace. City score again. Mateo Kovacic this time, and it is 6-2.
And I'm not surprised. You just felt more goals were coming, and really it was going to come from Manchester City. The only surprise is it's not from Erling Haaland. And look, he has too much space, 20 yards out. For Chelsea, he certainly carried the ball very well, didn't score enough goals. But he's got so much space. It's a really good finish, actually, 20 yards out, and he can see the space. There's a defender in front. The keeper's gone one way, and he struck it so hard. Not quite sure why Tim Krul kind of moved almost away from the centre of the goal, but the pace and the dip that it had with that shot, there's no way he was getting anywhere near that.
It's only his second goal for Manchester City, his first on English soil. He scored against Urawa Reds and now scores against Luton. Luton Town 2, Manchester City 6.
Just saw a picture of Rob Edwards covering his face with his hands. Oh dear. I still feel City can get more.
Hashioka is in an appreciably offside position. The ball played back behind him instead for Ross Barkley for Luton, who've got to make sure now that this doesn't become an epic defeat that threatens to have a psychologically damaging effect on the rest of their season. They've got clearly big battles ahead. Villa at home, Palace and Bournemouth away, and then Forest at home in the FA Cup quarter-final weekend. If Forest get knocked out by Manchester United tomorrow, they go into those games of supreme importance with confidence shot if they're not careful. I suppose that horse may already have bolted. Who knows?
Well, Rob Edwards said before the game, didn't he? He needs to pick a strong side because he doesn't want that psychological blow. And look, he has got injuries. There's no doubt about it. And he's picked pretty much as strong a side as possible, albeit you could say Kaminsky in for Krul. I just keep saying it. You can't go man for man with this Manchester City side. You really can't. It's too open. Too many times Ortega's just beaten the press. And then it's 1v1 or 2v2. And they're so good. Kevin De Bruyne to Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Doku coming on. Nunes, I think, has played well tonight as well.
Doughty back for Hashioka. A little back heel flick from Andros Townsend. Goes out of play off Nathan Ake for a throw to Luton, who trail this by 6-2 with 15 minutes to go. And you can get your calls in now. 03717 223344 gets you through to the sports bar, where Jason Cundy, Jamie O'Hara, in brilliant form last night. And taking your calls tonight. You can send them a voice note as well. Your thoughts on this City performance, on Haaland's performance, on the 5 goals. 6 for City. Well, where does this Manchester City performance rate City fans? Because they have been quite wonderful at times tonight. They could have had more. Kanji getting him back for Ortega to the edge of his own penalty area. Fall from him towards Nunes, who comes to meet it. And Doughty's fouled him. Now it's a free kick to City inside their own half. And Manchester City will now make 4 changes. Now we're going to see Bob, Lewis, Gomez and Alvarez. So 4 changes being made. And City in a healthy position, knowing they're going through to the last 8. They lead by 6 goals to 2. They can give some of the big hitters 15 minutes off ahead of the Manchester derby.
Absolutely. They could have done it 5-10 minutes ago, to be honest with you. That's job done. It is the perfect FA Cup performance. Away from home, big club against little club. Pick a strong side, get your attitude right. Get the game won, or you thought you won, and to be fair, this team will come back, but we're going to go again. And now, apart from that Jack Grealish injury, avoiding any kind of negatives and ready for United at the weekend.
So no double hat-trick for Erling Haaland. He makes way. He's got to declare at 5.
Well, Pepper say you had your chances to get 6 and 7.
5 goals in 54 minutes. He's certainly the man making the headlines tonight. While they're making these changes, let's find out what's been going on in extra time at Bournemouth. Here's Talksport's Alex Crew.
Still Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. Bournemouth are the team pushing for a winner to avoid the lottery of penalties. Philip Billing has seen a shot deflected over the crossbar. Marcus Tavernier also had a well-struck effort deflected behind for a corner. But it's still Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0.
Crookie, thank you very much indeed. An equaliser live on Talksport 2 for Blackburn's Sammy Schmodix, 1-1 in that game against Newcastle, so that could be going to extra time as well. Schmodix, who's had an exceptional season and his 24th goal of the campaign, might yet take Blackburn through to the quarter-finals. They've only won one of the last 6, but John Eustace's men 10 minutes away from extra time. Also, a big goal for Wrexham at Forest Green in the 3rd minute of stoppage time to salvage a point. Forest Green 1, Wrexham 1. Paul Mullin from the spot. They are still playing there. Carlisle have won at Burton in League One. And surely too little too late as far as the Cumbrians are concerned this season. 6-2 then, as a shot comes in from distance. Andros Townsend just driving it into the hands of Ortega. Let me just mop up those changes that City made. Bob, Alvarez, Gomez and Lewis for Stones, Haaland, Ake and Silva. So that's the quadruple change that has been made. Akanji going back for Ortega inside his penalty area. Driven forward now. And the loose ball will be chased by Alvarez, who will be desperate to get in on the goal-scoring act. Johnson turns it forward. It's hit Rico Lewis and goes out of play for a throw that'll be taken on the Luton left. So 0-0 at Bournemouth, 1-1 in the closing stages at Blackburn, and 6-2 to Manchester City here.
Yeah, and Menga would be absolutely delighted that Haaland has gone off. Again, the tactics aren't changed, but he knows he can outmuscle Alvarez. So I think he's thinking, surely he can't score a couple of extra goals as well.
Ortega taking a touch, playing it out towards Walker. Kyle Walker getting it forward towards halfway. Alvarez tried to spin Mengi, but it was much easier for Mengi, as Scott just detailed, to be able to deal with that particular physical challenge. City win the second balls deeper and fire it out towards the left-hand side, where Doku now will run at Hashioka, and he's travelling well and just fires it wide at the top right-hand corner with a shot across the face of the goal.
We're just waiting for number 7, aren't we? Again, so open. Doku just coming inside with pace. Oh, he's not a million miles away at all. A little bit of skill, comes inside, opens up the goal. He'll be disappointed he hasn't hit the target there. It's just gone the other side of the post. He struck it well, did everything right. He can't believe it, shaking his head.
Here's Chong. 10 minutes to go. And get this, finally, deadlock broken at Bournemouth. Which way, Alex Crew?
It's the Championship leaders in front. Bournemouth 0, Leicester 1. A goal worthy of winning any FA Cup tie. Abdul Fatawu from the edge of the penalty area. It's a brilliant strike into the top corner. Shock on the cards. Bournemouth 0, Leicester 1.
Well, they've conceded a stack of late goals over the course of recent weeks in big games, but they've scored very late tonight in the 105th minute. And they'll go into the second period of extra time, leading at Bournemouth, with a place in the FA Cup quarter-finals up for grabs for the 2021 winners. City fans away to our right-hand side in the Oak Road end, thoroughly enjoying the night. It's been a much better City performance than the one they gave here in the league back in December, where they were goal down with 25 minutes or so to go and got a couple of goals in quick succession, ended up winning by 2-1. But that was in keeping with many of Luton's performances around that time against the big hitters. It wasn't that long after Arsenal had come here and won 4-3 with just about the last touch of the night. Here's Oscar Bob just being pulled back by Peli Ruddock-Mpanzu. And the free kick goes Manchester City's way, about 20 yards outside the penalty area.
Yeah, Spurs, Chelsea, United.
Liverpool as well.
Liverpool, well, they could only come away with a draw. And no one's done this to Luton this season. This has been absolutely clinical. And again, I talk about attitude in the FA Cup. Big boys coming to the little boys. You know you're better players. So then if you deal with that, the attitude, and equal it, then you should win the game. And do you remember going back to the first few minutes where Luton hardly touched the ball? It was an incredible start. You could tell City were absolutely up for this. Pep had got them in the right frame of mind. And here's a result, 6-2. It could be 8 or 9, really.
Yeah, it set the tone. But those 2 Jordan Clark goals did give Luton that little bit of hope that was very quickly extinguished. Because within 4 minutes of getting it back to 3-2, they found themselves 5-2 down.
Yeah, made them angry.
Here's Chong. Just too much on that for Morris, and it goes through for Ortega.
You always felt the City had another gear or two, another level to go up if they needed to. And they did at 3-2, and we give Luton a lot of credit for that. But it's like, hold on a minute. You're actually going to make us go into 3rd or 4th gear? OK, we'll do that. It's been a magnificent performance from City, really has.
It has been a magnificent performance, and one that they'll be talking about on the Sports Bar tonight. 03717 223344. You can have your say. You have a chance to react on national radio following us. And also, tomorrow morning, Alan Brazil and Ali McCoist are back tomorrow from 6. Well, they'll be talking about Haaland's goal-scoring exploits. Amongst their guests, Basil Brush.
Really?
Now, bearing in mind, we're going out to, as I said earlier, Sirius XM-FC across Canada and North America. They haven't got a clue who Basil Brush is. All I can say, if you want to see archetypal, appalling... Can I say appalling? No, I didn't say appalling. Archetypal British humour from the 1970s. Go online, have a look at Basil Brush.
I was going to say, you need to be a certain age as well, even in England, to know Basil Brush.
Let me know on X what you think. It's at Jim Proudfoot. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Basil Brush if you've never seen him before. He's beyond description. And he's with Alan and Ali tomorrow. What a 3-ball that will be.
Brilliant.
All part of the Talksport breakfast tomorrow between 6 and 10. He's an 8-inch tall, very well-dressed fox, so I will give you no more clues than that. Here's Walker.
Where did that come from, Basil Brush?
I don't know. I mean, he's I would say a brave booking for the morning. Here's Kovacic, bringing it out from the back. And striding forward here for Manchester City, who look for number 7. Doku's got it, bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area. Doku knocking it square. Lewis trying to thread the ball through, he couldn't quite. He's still going to chase after it over on that left-hand side. He's done really well to win it back. Great contribution as well from Bob, who can then play towards the edge of the centre circle for Kovacic. Lewis showing for the ball. And Nunes will work it back instead towards Kovacic. Manchester City's FA Cup record we touched on earlier, but this is going to be a 13th straight away win in the competition. And over the last 9.5 FA Cup ties, they've scored 33 goals and conceded only 3. Rico Lewis has it, wearing 82. Play back towards Julian Alvarez. Now to Nunes. Nunes inside the centre circle. Kovacic gets it forward. Tries to turn it back round the corner for Doku. Toku taking on Hashioka, who did well, withstood the physical challenge, and Doku came away with the ball. Now it's played down towards Reece Burke. We're into the final 5, Scott.
We just saw Kevin De Bruyne playing almost right back, and then 4 seconds later he's up in the centre forward position.
Hashioka driving forward down the right hand side as Wigan take the lead against Bolton in the Lancashire derby. Wigan 1, Bolton 0. And St Mirren have equalised at Ross County in the game in the Scottish Premiership tonight. St Mirren will go up to 4th with a win. They've left it late, and they've equalised with 3.5 minutes to go in Dingwall tonight. 1-1 there. The ball cleared by Ortega through the middle to Jeremy Doku. Doku taking on Burke, who did everything he could to stop him.
That was a rugby tackle.
And he still didn't get him down. The referees played the advantage. Bob losing out to Chong, a much taller man alongside him in the challenge. Hashioka. He's played it back behind Roderick Mpanzu, who has to scamper after it, stop it going out of play for a corner. He can't keep the ball in. It's put it out for a throw, which will be taken. In fact, it's taken a deflection on its way out, and Hashioka is going to take that throw. 3.5 to go here. Luton 2, Manchester City 6.
You can see why Pep likes Ortega, though, as a goalkeeper. He hasn't really been tested, but on the board he's got that Edison about him, where he can ping a ball, 40, 50-yard balls along the floor or into the channels. And again, it's played into City's hands, the fact that Luton have tried to press as much as possible, so much space in behind. But you've still got to put the ball into the right place, and Ortega's certainly able to do that. His goalkeepers nowadays are like centre midfielders, aren't they?
I'd love to see Edison play in central midfield in a game, genuinely in a competitive fixture, just to see how he'd get on.
The only thing I'd say to that is he's mobile enough to move around.
Here's Chong getting it forward towards Townsend. Townsend on the right-hand side of midfield for Luton did well. He gets away from the first challenge. Back for Pelly Ruddock-Mpanzu. And he's angled it down towards this left-hand side for Johnson, right in front of us. Left-footed ball in from him, not the worst. Morris got his head to it. Barkley trying to get in there. Walker forced to get a hurried clearance to it. Back from Townsend after a Manchester City miscue. Doku now will try and turn it away. Hashioka's done well to win it back. Sends up Reece Burke. Burke out of Townsend. Right-footed ball clipped in from him. Barkley tries to head it down. The optimistic appeals for handball fall on deaf ears. City get it away for a Luton throw.
Yeah, weren't able to get it away there, City, were they? 2 or 3 attempts from Luton. Wasn't the best of balls from Andros Townsend coming in, floating too much, but City still made a little bit of a mess of that.
Big equalising goal in stoppage time for Fleetwood at Port Vale, who've come back from 2 down very late on there. Jayden Stockley with the equaliser, and that's finished 2-2 at Vale Park. Alvarez now for Manchester City. De Bruyne. City picking up the tempo again. Going up through the gears. To the left-hand side of the penalty area is Kovacic. 90 seconds to go. 6-2 Manchester City lead it, with Haaland scoring the first 5 of them. And Luton will be able to hammer the ball upfield to get it away. Ortega sweeping up the back. Down towards Akanji. Still 1-1 live on Talksport 2 for you right now, where there's just a little bit more jeopardy than there is here. Blackburn against Newcastle, heading for extra time. It will be on Talksport 2. Alvarez now for Manchester City. Alvarez riding the challenge of Johnson, who ended up on his backside, and then Krul did well to react after a left-footed shot took a little deflection, and Krul threw up a left hand to get it away. Back for Alvarez again. Alvarez thrashing the ball across the 6-yard box, and Hashioka heads it out of play for a corner.
Well, Alvarez wants to come on and score as well. He's seen obviously Erling Haaland get 5 today, and he wants to try and get at least 1. He's unlucky there. It was a deflection. It was a good save, good reaction from Tim Krul. But he's looking sharp coming on the pitch, isn't he?
And this, remarkably, is only Manchester City's second corner of the night, which you wouldn't necessarily associate with a performance of a side that have scored 6. It's been worked short to Doku. Doku's played it back to Akanji. Kovacic, Walker playing it forward to Rico Lewis. And Lewis clipping it through the midfield, and that's the last touch. No need, under the circumstances, for any stoppage time. It's a night of hat-tricks, of history, of Haaland. 5 goals for him. He'll be making the headlines after a sensational goal-scoring performance. His first on 3 minutes, getting City on their way. They never look back. He got his hat-trick completed by half-time when he could have had 5 or 6. Luton scored in first half stoppage time, and then again early in the second half just to give themselves a little bit of hope. Haaland got another 2 in a 3-minute spell. That hope quickly extinguished. Kovacic slammed one in for 6, and Manchester City are through to the quarter-finals with an immaculate offensive performance. They were quite magnificent. The only cloud, the injury to Jack Grealish, who went off again in the first half with a recurrence of his groin problem. Manchester City, irresistible, have beaten Luton by 6 goals to 2.
They were truly sensational tonight, Manchester City. And I'm not talking about the defence. They've actually conceded 2 goals. And I would say, Scott, a word about Luton before we wax lyrical about Manchester City. They gave it their all. Whether you question their tactics and their approach to the game or not, they gave it their all. They scored 2 really good goals. I'm not sure that they could have done much more here tonight.
Look, I have questioned their tactics throughout the whole game, and I do think they were, shall we say, very naive. You cannot be that open and play almost Bielsa-type tactics against this Manchester City side. But one thing they have got is character, and they will never give up, and they never gave up. And they're in front of their fans, and they're walking around now clapping their fans, and the fans are clapping them back. And I think, the players as well as the fans are probably still pinching themselves a little that they are where they are. They're in the FA Cup, were in the FA Cup 5th round. They're in the Premier League. They're playing against the likes of Manchester City, and up until tonight, pretty much every team they've played, they've given a really good go against, and it's been really tough. But today they were absolutely outclassed, and as I say, I do think it was crazy tactics, but yeah, no, a lot of credit to them. I hope they're not psychologically beaten up for the game against Villa at the weekend. There's no doubt about it. More so here than away, but the home games are going to be absolutely crucial if they are to stay up. Obviously, what happened with Everton gaining points back, and now this. You get the feeling, though, they'll shrug it off. They'll go into the next game, and if they get beaten at the weekend, again, it won't be because of what's happened in the past, just because they're not quite good enough.
That psychological impact that we touched upon in the game is going to be crucial. Rob Edwards gets a standing ovation along with his players. That's the context of the job that he's done. They've been hit for 6 tonight at home, and it could have been 10, but he gets a standing ovation. His players do as well. Their season will not be defined by tonight. It does not get defined by this FA Cup run. It's all about what happens in the league, and they will still be confident that they've got the tools to be able to win that battle.
Well, the fans are showing their appreciation. I think they don't mind losing the game as long as the team gives their all, and that's what they did tonight. Let's talk about City. A phenomenal performance from several players, from the team as well, you could say. Going forward, I think they might have done that to a lot of sides tonight, not just Luton. They were fantastic.
Yeah, they were. And, to say that Erling Haaland got 5 and could have got 7, missed a couple in the first half that I'm sure he probably would have been disappointed with, but absolutely sensational. Kevin De Bruyne, absolutely sensational. The relationship they have, almost telepathic, knowing exactly where one wants the ball to go and the other one able to put it on a sixpence. Just brilliant. And do you know what, it's an absolute pleasure and an honour to be here live and watching a team like Manchester City. I wax lyrical all the time about Pep Guardiola. Loved his Barcelona sides, loved covering Spanish football, and was disappointed that he only was in charge of Barcelona for 1 year that I was watching the games, because I think he's absolutely sensational. When he came to these shores, he'd already had his prints on there with everyone trying to almost copy the way he plays. He's a genius. He's an absolute genius. And people say that, he had Lionel Messi at Barcelona. Well, he has created Barcelona without Lionel Messi here. This is just a sensational side to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic from him. It's his movement, his strength, his finishing, obviously, and his understanding with his teammates as well. Sometimes I've heard people say, and sometimes I've watched him and thought to myself, he literally just stands there or doesn't do a lot for the team. People have talked about how few touches he has. But when he does things like this on nights like tonight, and this isn't a one-off, he's done it before, he'll do it again, you just can't help but feel privileged to have been here to witness it.
Absolutely. That is the word. And, up until last season, everyone was saying, Manchester City, are they bottling it in the Champions League? Well, the way they were playing, sometimes without even a recognised number 9, almost a false 9. And Pep Guardiola wanted to get someone like Erling Haaland in. He was the one who could make the difference. And what happens in his first season? They get the treble. I think he's just that good. He's the physical specimen that he is. His height, his strength, his pace, and his finishing ability. I think any manager in the world would want him in the side, and Pep certainly adapted to that, and he's adapted to Pep. And sometimes he said, you know what, you don't have to touch the ball all the time. Just get on the end of it, stay between the sticks, get in the right position. And he's done just that. And tonight, again, his movement, there were times, it was a great battle with him and Mengi. I feel sorry for Mengi, I really do, because he certainly came worse off than that, but he would have learnt a big lesson about what it's like to play against world class tonight. I think a lot of the players would have done for Luton Town.
City are through. We'll get more from Scott in a moment, but it's Luton 2, Manchester City 6, 5 for Erling Haaland tonight. Sports Bar will want your calls very shortly. 03717 223344.